Essential oil distillation small scale. Distilling small amounts of essential oil from grown herbs. Have you ever stood in your garden breathing in the fresh scent of lavender or rubbing a peppermint leaf between your fingers and thought how incredible it would be to bottle that pure aroma for yourself? I have been growing herbs for over a decade now, and nothing has brought me more satisfaction than learning small-scale essential oil distillation right from the plants I tend every day. It feels deeply personal and almost magical to transform those living herbs into concentrated essential oils that I can use in my home, my skincare, and even my cooking experiments. If you have a small backyard patch, a balcony, container garden, or just a few pots on your windowsill, you already have everything you need to start this rewarding journey. I remember my very first attempt at distilling essential oils. I had a modest bunch of homegrown lavender and a makeshift setup, using a pressure cooker, some copper tubing, and a bucket of ice water. The moment the first drops of fragrant liquid began to collect, I was hooked. The scent was so much brighter and more alive than anything I'd ever bought in a store. Small-scale essential oil distillation lets you work with just a few pounds of plant material at a time, producing enough oil for personal use, gifts, or even small batches of handmade products. It keeps costs low, avoids the mystery ingredients in commercial oils, and gives you complete control over the freshness and purity. One of the things I love most about this process is how it deepens my connection to the garden. Every season I watch the herbs grow, choose the perfect harvest moment, and then capture their essence before it fades. The byproduct hydrosol or aromatic floral water becomes another treasure for toners, room sprays, or gentle cleaning solutions. In my experience, nothing compares to the vibrant quality of oils distilled from plants you have nurtured yourself. It is sustainable, it reduces waste, and it turns gardening from a simple hobby into a full circle of creation. Let me walk you through my personal experiences and practical advice so you can begin distilling essential oils on a small scale too. We will cover everything from choosing the right herbs to building or buying basic equipment running the distillation safely, troubleshooting common issues, and finally using and storing your precious homemade oils. By the end of this, you will feel confident to start your own batches, even if you are working in a tiny kitchen like I did at first. Why small-scale essential oil distillation feels so special to me. When I first started growing herbs, I mostly used them fresh in tea salads or as natural pest repellents. Then I discovered distillation, and it opened up a whole new world. Commercial essential oils can be expensive and sometimes questionable in their sourcing. With small-scale work, I can produce pure oils knowing exactly where every leaf came from. I avoid synthetic additives, and I can experiment with blends that suit my family perfectly. Another huge benefit is the low barrier to entry. You do not need an industrial setup or acres of land. Many people successfully distill with just a few kilograms of herbs per batch. I have run successful distillations with as little as 2 to 5 pounds of fresh material, yielding enough oil for months of personal use. The process also teaches patience and observation. You learn the rhythms of your plants when they have the highest oil content and how different weather or soil conditions affect the final aroma. I have found that distilling creates a mindful ritual. Harvesting in the early morning when the volatile oils are most concentrated feels meditative. Setting up the still, checking the temperature, and watching the distillate collect brings a quiet joy. Friends who visit often ask to see the process, and many have started their own small-scale experiments after trying my lavender oil in a tea diffuser. Choosing the best herbs from your garden for distillation. Not every herb produces abundant essential oil, but many common garden varieties work beautifully for small-scale work. I always recommend starting with forgiving and high-yielding plants so you see quick success and stay motivated. Lavender tops my list every time. I grow several varieties, including English lavender and the more productive Grosso hybrids. Fresh lavender flowers and tops yield between 0.5% and 3% essential oil, depending on the cultivar and growing conditions. The scent is calming and floral, with beautiful notes that shine in homemade perfumes or sleep blends. I harvest the flower spikes just as the buds begin to open for the richest aroma. Peppermint and other mint family members come in a close second. Peppermint leaves and flowering tops can give 1 to 2.5% yield. The resulting oil has that sharp, cooling menthol character, perfect for headache rollers or homemade lip balms. I find spearmint gentler and sweeter if you prefer a milder profile. Both grow vigorously, so you will have plenty of material even in small spaces. Rosemary is another favorite of mine. Its woody evergreen leaves and flowering tops produce around 1 to 2% oil with a fresh herbaceous scent that I love in hair care and muscle rubs. Thyme, basil, lemon balm, and even chamomile flowers also distill well, though their yields vary. Lemon balm gives a lovely lemony note, while thyme offers strong medicinal undertones. I have experimented with combinations too. Co-distilling lavender with a bit of rosemary creates a unique herbal floral oil that works wonderfully in cleaning sprays. Start simple with 1 herb per batch until you get comfortable, then play with blends. When to harvest for maximum oil content, timing makes a huge difference. I always pick in the morning after the dew has dried, but before the intense midday sun evaporates the volatile compounds. For flowering herbs like lavender, I watch for the point when about 1/3 of the flowers are open. Leaves such as mint or rosemary I harvest just before or during early flowering when the essential oil glands are fullest. Avoid harvesting after rain or when the plants are stressed by drought. Healthy, vibrant plants produce better oil. I gently rinse the herbs if needed, but usually skip washing to preserve the natural oils on the surface. Use sharp scissors or shears to avoid bruising the material too much before distillation. How much plant material do you really need? This question comes up often, and the answer surprises many beginners. Essential oils are highly concentrated, so yields are small but powerful. From 10 pounds of fresh lavender, you might get only a few milliliters of pure oil. That sounds tiny until you realize 1 or 2 drops is enough for most applications. The hydrosol, the aromatic water, you will collect much more volume, which I use generously. In small-scale setups, I aim for batches that fit my equipment comfortably. A 5 to 10 liter still can handle 2 to 5 kilograms of fresh herbs comfortably. Overpacking reduces efficiency because steam cannot circulate well. With practice, you will learn exactly how much your setup can manage for good results. Building or buying your small-scale distillation setup. You have several options here, and I have tried most of them over the years. The simplest makeshift still uses a large stock pot, a smaller heat-proof bowl placed inside it, an upside-down lid, and ice on top. Steam rises from the herbs and water condenses on the cold lid, dripping into the center bowl. It works for very small test batches, but it is not the most efficient. A better approach is a basic steam distillation setup. You need a boiler or pot for the water, a separate plant chamber or basket where the herbs sit above the boiling water, and a condenser to cool the vapor. Copper stills are popular because copper naturally helps purify and improves the scent in some cases. Stainless steel works well too and is easier to clean. Avoid reactive metals like aluminum with certain herbs that contain phenols. For the condenser, many people coil copper or stainless tubing inside a bucket of cold running water or ice. A glass separatory funnel or simple collection jar lets the oil and hydrosol separate naturally, since essential oils usually float on water. If you want something more professional, there are affordable small-scale essential oil distiller kits available online designed exactly for home use. They often include a boiler, a column for the plant material, and a condenser with good cooling capacity. I upgraded to one after my first few makeshift batches, and the difference in ease and yield was noticeable. Basic materials I recommend gathering start with a heat-safe stainless steel or copper pot of at least 5 to 10 liters. You will need tubing for the condenser, preferably food grade, or copper. A large bucket or tub for the cooling water plus ice, or a way to run cold water through the condenser. Glass collection containers are essential because plastic can react with the oils. A thermometer helps monitor temperatures accurately. Finally, a pipette or dropper for separating the oil from the hydrosol. I also keep clean cheesecloth or mesh bags handy to hold the plant material so it does not clog the system. A good scale for weighing herbs and a notebook to record each batch details like harvest date, amount of material time distilled, and yield help you improve over time. Understanding steam distillation versus hydrodistillation. There are two main methods, and I've used both depending on the herb. In hydrodistillation, the plant material sits directly in the boiling water. It is simple but can be harsher on delicate flowers because prolonged contact with hot water may alter some compounds. Steam distillation is my preferred method for most garden herbs. Here, the plants sit in a basket or chamber above the boiling water. Pure steam passes through the material carrying the volatile oils without submerging the plants. This gentler approach often preserves more of the delicate top notes and gives a cleaner, brighter oil. For lavender and mint, I almost always choose steam, and some advanced setups allow direct steam injection, but for small scale, a simple steam basket works beautifully. The choice depends on your equipment and the plant. Experiment with both on the same herb to see which aroma profile you prefer. Step by step, how I run a small-scale distillation. Let me describe my typical process in detail so you can follow along. First, I prepare the herbs by chopping or lightly bruising them. This helps release the oils without damaging them too much. I loosely pack the material into the plant chamber, leaving space for steam to flow freely. Overpacking is a common mistake that lowers yield. Next, I fill the boiler with clean water. For pure essential oil focus, I use less water, about 1/5 full. If I want more hydrosol, I fill it higher, leaving a few inches at the top to prevent boil over. I bring the water to a gentle boil, then adjust the heat so steady steam rises through the herbs. Now, the vapor travels through the tubing, which I have coiled inside a cold water bath. I refresh the ice or run cold water to keep the condenser cool. As the vapor condenses, it drips into the collection vessel as a milky mixture of oil and hydrosol. I usually distill for 1 to 3 hours. Lavender might take 90 minutes to 2 hours, while tougher leaves like rosemary can go longer. You will notice the distillate becoming clearer and less aromatic toward the end, signaling it is time to stop. I never rush the heat because high temperatures can scorch the oils and create off notes. After turning off the heat, I let everything cool naturally. Then I carefully separate the layers. The essential oil floats on top, so I use a pipette to draw it off, or a separatory funnel if I have one. The remaining hydrosol is valuable too, and I filter and bottle it separately. Safety first every single time. Working with steam and heat requires respect. I always set up in a well-ventilated area, preferably outdoors or under a Ray&J hood. Never leave the still unattended while it is heating. Keep children and pets away. Have a fire extinguisher rated for kitchen use nearby just in case. Check all seals before starting to prevent steam leaks. Use heat-proof gloves and eye protection when handling hot parts. Essential oils are highly concentrated, so I avoid direct skin contact with undiluted oil until I test for sensitivity. Some herbs like citrus or certain mints can cause photosensitivity, so I'm extra careful with those. If you are new to distillation, start with small batches and low heat. Learn how your particular setup behaves before scaling up. Proper cooling is crucial too, because inadequate condensation means lost oils and wasted effort. Common troubleshooting issues I have faced: low yield is the most frequent complaint. Often it comes from using dried instead of fresh material or old plants harvested at the wrong time, or too high heat that drives off the volatiles before they condense. I always use fresh herbs whenever possible and keep the boil gentle. Cloudy or weak-smelling oil can result from poor separation or contamination. Make sure all equipment is scrupulously clean before each use. Residual oils from previous batches can alter new ones. If the distillate stops flowing, check for blockages in the tubing or insufficient steam. Sometimes the plant material packs down and needs loosening midway, though I try to avoid opening the still once running. Over time, I have learned that patience and good notes prevent most problems. Each batch teaches something new, and my success rate has improved dramatically, maximizing your yield from homegrown herbs. Healthy soil and proper growing conditions make a big difference. I feed my herbs with organic compost and ensure good drainage. Full sun for most Mediterranean herbs like lavender and rosemary encourages higher oil production. Consistent but not excessive watering prevents stress that reduces aromatic compounds. Harvest at peak times and process quickly. I try to distill within a few hours of cutting. If I must wait, I keep the herbs cool and shaded, but never in the refrigerator for long because cold can affect the oils. Some people lightly wilt the herbs for an hour or two before distilling, which can concentrate the material slightly. I have had mixed results with this, so I usually stick with fresh. What to do with your homemade essential oils and hydrosols? Once you have that precious oil, the fun really begins. I use lavender oil in diffusers for calm evenings, or diluted in carrier oils like jojoba or fractionated coconut for massage and skin care. A few drops in homemade lotion or balm recipes add natural fragrance and therapeutic benefits. Peppermint oil goes into my headache relief roller balls mixed with a carrier and sometimes a touch of lavender. Rosemary oil strengthens my hair when added to shampoo or scalp treatments. I even use small amounts in natural cleaning sprays combined with vinegar and water for a fresh scent and antimicrobial action. The hydrosol is milder and more versatile. I spray lavender hydrosol on my pillow for better sleep or use it as a facial toner straight from the fridge. Mint hydrosol makes a refreshing body spray for hot days. You can distill larger batches specifically for hydrosol if you love using the aromatic water. Creative ways to blend and use your oils. After several seasons of distilling, I started creating signature blends, and one favorite is a focus mixture with rosemary, peppermint, and a hint of lemon balm. For relaxation, I combine lavender chamomile and a touch of clary sage if I grow it. These personal creations feel special because they come entirely from my garden. In the kitchen, I add a tiny drop of food-grade peppermint or lemon oil to teas or baked goods, though I am always extremely cautious with internal use and research safety first. For handmade gifts, I bottle small amounts of oil with pretty labels, noting the harvest date and herb. Friends love receiving something so personal and unique. Storing your homemade essential oils properly. Proper storage keeps your oils potent for years. I use dark amber or cobalt glass bottles with tight-fitting caps to block light and minimize air exposure. Clear glass works in a pinch if kept in a dark cabinet, but dark is better. Store them in a cool, dry place, away from heat sources like stoves or windows. A dedicated box in a cupboard works well. Some people refrigerate citrus oils to extend their life, but I find a consistently cool room temperature spot sufficient for most. Label every bottle clearly with the herb date, distilled, and any notes about the batch. As you use the oil, transfer remaining amounts to smaller bottles to reduce headspace and oxidation. Most well-stored essential oils last 1 to 5 years or longer. Citrus oils tend to have shorter shelf lives, around 1 to 2 years, while woodier herbs like rosemary can last much longer. If an oil smells rancid or changes dramatically, it is time to compost it and make a fresh batch, scaling up or expanding your small-scale operation. Once you master basic distillation, you can expand thoughtfully. I added more garden space for high-yield plants and invested in a slightly larger still. Some people sell small batches of hydrosols or infused products at local markets, though check regulations in your area first. You can also explore other extraction methods like infusing oils for herbal salves if distillation feels too involved for certain plants. But for true essential oil, steam distillation remains the gold standard for home producers. The emotional rewards of this craft, beyond the practical benefits, distilling essential oils from my own herbs has brought unexpected joy. It slows me down and makes me more observant of seasonal changes. It connects me with traditional knowledge practiced for centuries before industrial production took over. There is pride in saying, I grew this, I distilled this, and now I use it to care for my family and home. On difficult days, the scent of fresh lavender oil can lift my mood, instantly reminding me of sunny mornings in the garden. If you have been hesitating because it seems technical or intimidating, I encourage you to start small. Begin with a simple setup and one easy herb, like mint or lavender. Your first few drops will likely hook you just as they did me. Final thoughts on embracing small-scale essential oil distillation. Small-scale essential oil distillation has enriched my gardening life in ways I never expected. It turns ordinary herbs into something extraordinary while teaching valuable skills in patience, chemistry, and self-reliance. You do not need perfect equipment or vast amounts of plants to succeed. Consistency, careful observation, and a willingness to learn from each batch are what matter most. Your kitchen or garden shed can become a tiny aromatic laboratory where pure scents are born. The oils you create will carry the unique terroir of your soil, your climate, and your care. They will smell different from anything mass-produced because they come straight from your hands and your herbs. I hope my experiences inspire you to try distilling essential oils on a small scale from the herbs you grow. Start today with what you have. Harvest a handful, experiment gently, and enjoy the process as much as the results. Your home will soon fill with the freshest, most authentic aromas, and your wellness practices will feel more personal and powerful than ever. Whether you use the oils for aromatherapy, natural cleaning, skincare, or simply the pleasure of a beautifully scented space, this craft brings lasting satisfaction. Happy distilling, and may your garden and your still always yield abundance and joy.